Waddell about people that might be able to fill that nightlife seat. And so I put forward and checked with him, and we are good to go. So he should be sending in his application. His name is Ryan Belcher. He's the general manager for Live Nation. So he manages both the Live Oak Bank Pavilion and the Greenfield Lake Amphitheater.
Okay, good.
Holly,
Yes.
are you and Christina the only two new people in the building?
Yes.
Is Christina in the building? Okay.
Yes, we're both here.
Well, we have a quorum.
7. We do. I counted 7. All right. So yeah, we do. Teresa's 8.
There's 9.
8.
There are 2 in the building.
Oh,
Now,
who's in the building?
Teresa makes 10. Terry and John.
Terry and John Sneed. Excellent. Great. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started. You know, seeing as it is Friday, I know everybody wants to get out of here, right?
Is it Friday?
Oh, Clark, and I didn't mention, Teresa mentioned this may be her last meeting, but she will probably explain better.
Yeah, sorry about that. Hey, Clark, I meant to reach out to you as well. I'm not sure what I need to do, but as a part of the integration, you know, the PPD was acquired by Thermo Fisher Scientific. I am an integration synergy, and so my last day is going to be February 25th with PPD. So I have been on the MSD as a representative of, you know, a large business property owner on behalf of PPD. So I don't know what that means. I mean, I'm more than happy to stay on if you guys will have me, but again, I won't be associated or affiliated with PPD after that 25th. So can you?
I think someone from a large, someone representing a large property owner, and in this case, I'm not sure who, what constitutes large, but I think it would probably need to be somebody associated with PPD.
Well, Thermo Fisher, right, going forward.
All right.
I kind of put some feelers out there. Nobody I've been in touch with is interested in doing this.
Okay.
Hey, Clark. Clark, sorry,
yes?
It's Holly Childs again. Sorry to interrupt. But another person who had expressed interest in being on the MSD, and I know has completed his application with the city clerk's office, is McKay Siegel from East West Partners. So I think with River Place and all of their holdings downtown, they would definitely check that box as well.
I would agree with that.
That might give you the coverage you need from a large business standpoint.
Yep.
So is there anything formal, Holly, that I need to do? Do I need to send a formal letter or anything? Happy to do so. Just let me know.
I think there's a dance that we require in Pete.
That's exactly
I could
what
be
I was
wrong.
going to say, Clark.
Okay.
No, I don't think there's anything formal you need to do, but.
Hey, Teresa, if you could just send Veronica or I an email if you haven't already. This is Chance here, and we can forward it to the clerk just to let her know.
Okay. I have emailed Veronica, but I don't know if that's sufficient enough. Veronica, you want to just send that to Chance?
Yep, should be
Perfect.
good.
Thank you, guys. So I'll stay on for this call then. Like I said, it's February 25th, so this will be my last meeting, everyone.
Well, thank you. We appreciate all your input over the last. You were a founding member, so
I was. That's right. That's right.
we appreciate it all the time you spent. So we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. So we'll start off with review of the minutes from our previous meeting. Are there any comments or questions or amendments to the previous minutes? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion.
Make a motion. Second.
I'll second it. Tag it.
Okay, so that was Bobby motioned.
Yeah.
And Tom Davis seconded.
Second. Got it. Is there anyone who is opposed to that motion? State it now. Hearing none, we'll assume that that motion has been approved unanimously. All right, are there any members of the public at City Hall? All right, so we'll move through public comments into new business. First item there is the MSD Facade Improvement Grant presentation by Christina Haley.
Hey, real quick, Veronica, are you driving the PowerPoint? Do you have control? All right, cool. Got it.
All right, is my speaker? Okay. Good afternoon, thank you for your time. I'm here to present you guys a rundown of our Facade Improvement Grant Program Awards for this fiscal year. If you have any questions at any time during this presentation, please don't hesitate to ask. Right here you see an overview of the objectives set forth by our FIG program. We meet these objectives by providing matching grants of up to $2,500 for a single facade or $5,000 for 2 facade projects. Next slide, please. So this fiscal year, we have awarded 8 grants, 7 $2,500 grants, and 1 $5,000 grant award. This is the first award, $5,000 grant award for the program this fiscal year. Floriana's at 2nd Mark Street was awarded a $5,000 grant in 2018, and also in 2019, 31 South Front Street, now the Husk, and the building at 25 North 3rd Street. There is one $2,500 grant remaining, and our next grants committee meeting is scheduled for April. Next slide, please. These are the businesses that have been improved with a portion of the funding coming from this grant program. I'll now take you through each project with some before and after photos. Next slide, please. This is the Brooklyn Arts Center project. They received a $2,500 grant for renovation work to Cat's Cottage, which is a venue that they're using to support its wedding and concert business, as well as an Airbnb. The Brooklyn Arts Center contracted work to the facade, replacing the front porch, metal roof awnings, and windows. This also repaired the building's wood siding and trim. And this was a part of a larger renovation to the interior and exterior of the building, which cost over $155,000. Next slide, please. This is the Taco Baby project. This was a $2,500 grant award to cover costs of upgrades, repairs, and artwork to the building facade. The work included caulking, painting, and removal of a former signpost on the facade. This business was also contracted with a local artist to add a mural to the building in order to bring attention to the street and drive business to the location while supporting the local Wilmington art scene. This project totaled more than $5,000. Next slide, please. This is Front Street Brewery project. It was awarded a $2,500 grant for its facade renovation and repair project. The construction included stucco repair, painting, and staining the facade. Some of the repairs were made due to damages from Hurricane Florence. This was overall a larger overhaul of the brewery's interior and exterior. Materials for repair and painting, along with labor for the facade alone, was $5,500. Next slide, please. This is Better Basket at 143 North Front Street. This group was awarded a $2,500 grant to offset the costs of this restoration and rehabilitation project. If you guys recall, this building was damaged heavily during Hurricane Florence when it was farming on front. The construction work restored metal tiles and the awning. The storefront was painted and sealed. There were also repairs to the gutters and the rotting wood on the facade, which was replaced with old reclaimed wood that matched the look and feel of downtown Wilmington. The total cost of this project was more than $6,000. Next slide, please. This is the SVN Eford project. This is at 6 Market Street. They received a $2,500 grant for ongoing repairs to the building facade. This construction includes replacing wood and molding, as well as caulking and painting the storefront. The project also includes replacing windows, which is anticipated to take place at the end of the month. The work is more than $6,500. Next slide, please. This is the project at 21 Market Street. The Falcone Group, the owners of 21 Market Street LLC, received a $2,500 grant for ongoing renovation to the facade of the old Atlantic Paint and Varnish building at 21 Market Street. The building was built in 1910. This project and the ongoing work to Michael's on the Waterfront, which you guys will see at the end of this presentation, are by far the most extensive downtown projects we have funded thus far in the FIG program. The renovation and restoration work at 21 Market Street includes fixing structural issues, brickwork, and replacing the second and third story windows. This project has received approval from the Historic Preservation Commission. The cost of the project so far is more than $110,000, with major structural work and labor-intensive brickwork completed early this month. This is paired with major interior renovation, stabilization, and rehabilitation project. The windows were ordered on November 1st with delivery expected this month. And the project is on schedule. The property owner is working to contract to have support beams in place to strengthen the third floor to support the new windows. And completion with the windows in place is anticipated for the end of March. Next slide, please. This is the Rumcal at 121 Grace Street. They were awarded a $2,500 grant. This is to support ongoing work to the building's facade, which included removing aluminum framing from the building, repainting the facade, and replacing the awning, which has been damaged by hurricanes. The awnings are expected to be replaced this month, and costs for this project totaled over $5,600. Next slide, please. Our last project funded so far this fiscal year is Michael's on the Waterfront at 5 South Water Street. They received a $5,000 grant for ongoing improvement to the Water Street facing facade and the facade facing Henderson Valley Alley. Work on the facade includes more than $20,000 worth of work that includes replacing windows. Window replacement is scheduled for later this month. The side door entrance was replaced this winter, and the project has received approval from the Historic Preservation Commission. Estimates are in the works for further work on structural repairs to the brick and stucco walls, which is another future project for this building. A lot of money has been pumped into this property. Since taking over the building, the property owner has reported investing more than $1 million in the interior and exterior restoration and renovation work. More work is planned on the building overall, mainly to the second floor in the coming years. The owner greatly appreciated the support from the FIG program, as did all owners who received grant funding this fiscal year. Comparatively, for many of these projects, these grants not only funded a small portion of the work, but it's been a welcome grant program for all involved. As you see, the funding directed to the FIG program this fiscal year has shown a huge return on investment and proven successful in incentivizing our business owners to invest their hard-earned dollars in their storefronts and buildings, thus contributing to the beautification and revitalization of our downtown. We'd like to thank our grants committee, and these are our members listed to the left. And again, there's one $2,500 grant remaining this fiscal year. We do have several applications in progress, and we are seeing great interest in this program, especially in grants amounts for more than $5,000 for 2 facade projects. Historical building restoration and renovation is becoming very popular and increasingly expensive. In closing, I'd like to thank you all, the MSD Advisory Committee, for your continued support for this program and overall work towards the beautification of our city. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments? I have one. I just was a bit surprised about the Cat's Cottage project. Because I honestly don't think that's in the CBD. I assume that y'all are reviewing those to make sure that those properties are in the CBD.
Yes, the Brooklyn Arts project was within the CBD. That's on the very border. You know, as you know, it's a jagged line, so it is on the border. But yes, we do.
So is that on the Brooklyn Arts property?
Yes, they bought that property, that adjacent property.
What's the address? Do you know off the top of your head?
I don't know.
It's on 4th Street, or right off of 4th Street.
It's on Campbell.
Yeah.
It's right off of Fourth. It's in the back, kind of the back side of, it's on Campbell.
Yeah, I'm on 619 North 4th, and I can see it from my window, so I imagine 622 or 624 North 4th.
Right.
All right, well, I'd just like some verification on that, because I looked at it on the map while you, Christina was talking, and it appears that is in the R3, not the CBD. So I just would, again, encourage that we make sure that this money should only be applied to properties that are paying within the MSD. And it doesn't appear to me that property is actually in the MSD or in the CBD.
So it is, Clark, and I don't know for sure enough to argue with you if you're looking at the map, but it is part of the Brooklyn Arts property, and the Brooklyn Arts Center does pay into the MSD. So I don't know if that makes a difference or not, as it's part of their property, but, that's what I have to offer.
Hey, Clark, I have just two comments. Number one, I want to appreciate the committee by bringing this forward, because I know as members of the MSD, it was one of our requests, and I think it was a very well done job in presenting it, and I congratulate the presenter. The other thing is, I noticed that a couple of these projects are between 2nd and Front Street on Grace. That's an area across from the hotel. It seems to me, I'm glad to see a couple of those projects going forward. It seems to me there's some more work to be done in that general area, especially around Grace and Walnut on those storefronts. And that, I think this comes a long way to satisfying me about the grant program. Thank you.
Thanks, Christopher. This is Holly. I just wanted to say that we appreciate you saying that. Christina has certainly been marketing those, and I think, just whenever a neighbor brings their property up, so whenever Taco Baby brought their property up, Rum Cow wanted an application. So I think it is starting to get the neighbors to try to kind of keep up with the investment that's going on, which is great. It's another great outcome of the program.
I agree. Thank you.
All right, any other comments, concerns? All right, we'll move on to Holly, the annual report, fiscal year 21.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the MSD FY 2021 annual report. So this is for the year that ended June 30th, 2021. So it seems like a long time ago now, but we're always kind of this far behind in the reporting. First slide that's up now that's the WDI board members as of the end of fiscal year 21, just for your information. Next slide. And these are, and most of you are still members on the MSD Advisory Committee. These are the members that were current as of June 30th, FY21 as well. And Eris, of course, was here and a big part of our work on this year. Next slide, please. MSD overview. As you all know, WDI has managed the MSD since its inception operationally since July 1st, 2017, initially with a 2-year contract and then 3 one-year extensions. This year, and I know Chance and I have already spoken about this a few times, and we're going to be talking about it some today, we do have the new contract that's up for management of the MSD. The MSD area, as you see in the map, is a 70-block area. And WDI contracts with Block by Block, a national service provider, to provide our ambassador program. Block by Block is a national organization that has been around since 1995, so nearly 30 years, although it feels like only yesterday, 1995. And they have over 120 programs nationwide like this in business improvement districts or municipal service districts where they provide ambassadors and other services. Our original contract with Block by Block, as you all know, certainly better than I know, Allied was the original provider, and then in January of 2020, we changed and started providing services through Block by Block. The original contract was January of 20. It was amended then in June 2020 with extensions. A restated and amended lease I did last year with Dane Scalise, our chairman, in January of 21, and then we did an amendment for expanding the program in July 1st of 21. So that'll be, you'll see that in next year's report through this year to include the expanded budget and the expanded capacity, the street outreach, and those sorts of things, which I think we're going to talk about in the upcoming budget discussion. Next slide, please. So this is, and I apologize, I tried to make it as big and as easy to read as possible. Hopefully you can see that well enough on the screen. This is the FY21 MSD budget and the priorities as defined by you, the advisory committee. So, you know, the point of the MSD is to provide enhanced services for the downtown to services that are already provided by the city, and work to make our downtown more appealing for businesses, residents, and visitors. So the areas of focus have been on safety, cleanliness, physical appearance, and marketing. So I'll start at the top of the budget and just run through it quickly. Our council-approved budget for FY21 was $444,692. The bulk of the budget you'll see in the next two sections, in safety and in clean. So that those two sections total 66% of the budget. That's $293,432. That 66% goes to our ambassador program. There were, at the time, 2.8 full-time equivalents, and we divide those over the two, safe and clean, because our ambassadors essentially do it all, both safe and clean, and it's been divided, but we have 4.6 FTEs in FY21. James, our operations manager, James Slay, plus 3.6 full-time equivalents worth of hours for additional ambassadors. And we can talk about going forward how that shapes up with additional staff that we've added since that time. Physical appearance is 9% of the budget, $42,000. And you can see the various items, baskets and other landscaping. I think we're going to talk about baskets, landscaping, holiday decorations, some of those individual items in the budget discussions. But this is the way that 9% was divided previously. One thing I do want to point out and I've discussed with Chance is the alley activation, which we dedicated $10,000 to this fiscal year. Those unused funds, and Chance can correct me if I'm wrong, go back to a fund balance. So they stay within the MSD and are used for MSD projects, but I think we need to think through some of these things and the timing of allocation going forward in our future budgets. Weather events, and then, of course, the facade grant program, which Christina talked about. And at the time, it was $13,000. As you can see, we're doing we have $25,000 in this fiscal year. So I feel like we're kind of taking a step back in time here. We weren't doing these facade grants during FY21 because we were going through COVID and people weren't really engaged in the facade grant process. So that wasn't being marketed in FY21. And then last category in marketing, personnel is 70% of the marketing and outreach salary, including overhead, and that's dedicated to developing the platform and outreach for our MSD businesses, marketing and facade improvement grants currently, and all the other things that WDI does through that position specifically. WDI from our general budget pays for the other 30% of that position. The website number of $5,000, it was started in FY 2021 and then completed in 22. That will be going in the future years to just a nominal charge. We are thankfully finished with establishing the website and are just doing some populating of the pages. Ratepayer newsletters, we previously mailed and printed those. I know it's been we've had some discussion previously about those not not being the most efficient way to get information out. We just need a way to communicate, and we're going to talk about how we're going to use the Insight platform that's being developed, and going forward, how we will communicate with the ratepayers. And then branding and printing was about $700, was that $687.30. And then overhead has been standard since the inception of the program at 15%. That covers renting a place, rental cost for the ambassadors, utilities, staff administration and reporting, accounting, and audit expenses. Next slide, please. Actually, did anybody have any questions on that? I know it was a quick one through the budget. I don't know, Chance, if anyone has any questions about the budget, or we want to cover that in a little bit. Okay, we'll just proceed. So the ambassadors obviously help do a lot of different things downtown. Graffiti removal, litter removal, pressure washing. I'm going to talk about some of the stats from all these things: hospitality assistance, safety escorts, and street light outage reporting. They also have a lot of partnerships with the Wilmington Police Department and others, sanitation workers, et cetera, that are city staff. Next slide, please. So they do it all, everything from watering hanging baskets to taking photos for people. I guess this was taken before the selfie sticks came out, to hanging up a sign after a windstorm, to lots of other things that they do that are not quite so clean that I didn't share pictures of. Next slide, please. They've also really done a lot, and I'm going to talk about the stats, on pressure washing, particularly in public areas like Thalian Hall. There's been an incredible increase in this activity and demand for pressure washing, and mulch and maintenance, straightening signs, whatever it takes. Next slide, please. So here, this is an intense slide. I'm only going to hit the highlights, but obviously you'll have this presentation, so feel free to follow up with any questions. These are our stats for FY21. Nearly 4,000 business contacts. You can see, and it's just out of, I don't know if it's out of everyone else's site, there are the total numbers in green, and then just to the right of that are the total numbers for the prior fiscal year. Can everyone see that last column or no?
Yeah.
You can? Okay, good. So there are nearly 4,000 business contacts, which is up 36%. There were 85 calls for emergency services, which was almost 450% of 2019's number. The hanging basket hours, and I know we're going to talk a bit about hanging baskets and the budgeting, but there were 358 and a half hanging basket hours. I just want to point out, from a budgetary standpoint, as food for thought for later, that our average wage for with all in, with benefits, the price that we pay block by block for our overhead and all in for an ambassador is $23.52 an hour. So that results in $8,432 in just labor going to the hanging baskets. So, I think we want to think about how many resources, how much we want to put towards that initiative, and maybe we do, but that's 3 to 4% of our total budget. Also, nearly 100 people in our downtown were helped through the Vehicle Safety Hospitality Escort Program. The ambassadors pressure washed. I thought this was an incredible stat. They pressure washed 12.3 linear miles of the downtown walkways and picked up over 600 bags of trash, creating a cleaner, more attractive environment for our citizens. And then, of course, I just wanted to end on saying that there are many new initiatives, as you all know, that are rolling out this year, and our FY22 report should be even better and more impressive with these new initiatives. So really excited. Next slide, I think, is just the end. Veronica?
Hey, Holly, real quick, before you move to that next slide. The title and the stats say FY19 to 20. Is that just a mistake? Okay.
No, that was just a mistake. And actually, after I sent that to you guys, I realized that. And then the second one that I said, oh, here's the corrected one, I sent the not corrected one again. I mean, it was a late night last night, Chance.
Got it.
So those are the correct stats. I just didn't change the header. Does anybody have any other questions about the stats or the FY21 budget before we go further? Anything else that I can help with?
Hey, Holly, it's Bobby. The baskets, I'm not sure if we're getting our bang for the buck. what's the total cost in labor and then for the baskets themselves to put them up?
Yes.
And it's difficult to see them when you're walking on the street at the height they're at. And I know we've been doing that for a reason, for safety and accessibility. But I think we need to come up with something else other than the basket. I think it's throwing money out at this point.
Yeah, thanks, Bobby. I actually, I think there's have been mixed feelings over the years about the baskets. I mean, the baskets are beautiful. We don't do flowers very well in Wilmington because of the heat, so they end up being those sweet potato vines. And then some people get upset that we're not doing, beautiful flowers, but we already spend obviously a lot of time and money on just keeping the baskets up the way they are with the low maintenance sweet potato vines. We did make a change in the basket program this year that I was really happy about, at least in the right direction, to not be going out of the area for the baskets. We got them here locally within city. And so yes, our total hanging basket hours, you see that number is 358.5. If you multiply that by $23.52, which is ambassador hours plus overhead, that is $8,432. We also spent just over $6,000 on the baskets themselves. So that doesn't, you're at $14,500. That doesn't even count the gas for the trucks and the water, the cost of the water. I mean, I'd say you're over $15,000 for sure on baskets.
I think we could come up with some other beautification other than the baskets this year. I don't know. I'm not an arborist or what would work better, but at this point, $15,000 is a lot of money to spend just for those, and I don't think we're getting a bang for the buck. I'll leave it at that.
Holly, I did have a question about the marketing. I asked it, but I was on mute. This is Nancy. We have allocated $12,000 for that startup company to gather a lot of information and data downtown in order to attract industries to come. Have we seen anything? Have they produced anything that we could look at?
Yeah, so Nancy, thank you. And actually, Chance told me that you had contacted him about that. And so Christina has been working with them directly. The company, whenever we started this process with them, the startup was called Verily, and it was called Verily Vision. They've changed their name, but just, they're a tech company. They do those kinds of things, just like Facebook. They are now called Peer, and the product is called Insight, and they are building it with us. And I'm going to defer to Christina for just a moment to talk about where they are in that process, but it was for them to build a platform so that we could have boots on the ground and have real-time data input into this system. So building the system has been really complex, and I'm glad that Christina's doing it and not me, frankly. So I'll let her chat about that.
Yes, so over the past few months, we have been working on just kind of revamping the survey, the business survey, and what type of information we're going to be gathering. Initially, it was just general property information and some employment data, but I wanted to take a little bit deeper dive into like the actual economic impact that our businesses are having, and kind of sectioning off different portions of the economic data, like what the businesses are making as far as revenue, how many employees, full-time, part-time. So we've really taken a deep dive into that, and they have had to take some time to kind of restructure the actual app and platform and develop a business survey where I can input the information. So over the past few months, we have been developing that business survey, and that is now complete with just a few minor tweaks being made. We are working with Peer to develop a memo of agreement to add, for them to add an employee to help support work that we're doing. They're looking to add a project manager for tech support and application functionality. On the back end, we will have access to the data, but we're also going to be building out a functionality where we can put emails out to the business owner where they can verify the information. So it's a quality control aspect that we have for this. So I hope to have all of this complete, and I'm also developing leave behind materials like a packet for business owners as I'm going from place to place to place in case they're not there or they just don't have the time to speak with me, to just leave it there for they can fill out the survey and also have some information about our MSD and our programs at WDI. So I hope to begin by the first week in March. I'm going to be working next week to actually print out all those materials. And at the next meeting, I'm happy to share with you what it actually looks like on the front end. I can bring the iPad, or I can give you a link to the app to kind of show you what it looks like, if that would be helpful.
Yes, thank you. I am curious to see what they've done, and it sounded very ambitious, but if they're pulling it off, then I think it will be extremely helpful for our downtown.
Thank you.
Agreed. This is Clark. I would agree that it would be interesting to see. So if you could, Christine, if you could add that to your schedule for next month, that would, I think we'd get a lot out of that presentation.
Yes, sir, will do. Thank you.
Any other questions regarding the presentation from Holly on the annual report? All right, then we'll move on to the next item, the service, MSD services, request for proposal and priorities. Is that Chance?
Yes, sir, Clark, that's me. All right, thank you. Unfortunately, I don't have anything up on the screen for the group, but sent out some slides yesterday kind of showing some history on kind of what the budget looked like and funding amounts looked like 5 years ago, and where we've gone, where we've been, and where we are now. And as we continue to kind of put the final touches on this RFP and get this through city procurement, just wanted to get feedback from the committee on where our priorities are versus where we want our priorities to go, specifically next year, but also, over the next few years. I think over the last 5 years, the tax base has grown, the funding amounts have grown. We have consolidated the economic development section slice into several other sections. Numbers on, say, total safety have gone as high as 44% as a projected budget priority, down to now 33%. So there's some ebb and flows on some of these accounts. And then I'm hearing from good input from Bobby just now about, the landscaping piece and the hanging baskets. If the group wants to keep that in there as kind of a beautification project, are there some, more bang for your buck, so to speak, options for landscaping beautification instead of the hanging basket? So really just open-ended discussion point for the group. At the very least, we can put it out there as a rough projection of where we are right now with FY22 and how those percentages are split between the 5 categories, and then take it from there and let the proposers, such as WDI submitting those proposals, kind of add some flair and recommendations within those 5 categories too, and really get granular with some of this stuff. But just wanted input and any notes that I could take from the group to transfer to this RFP.
I have an observation. It just goes back to the hanging baskets, but it's a bigger point. If you look at the Water Street project, all the work that was done on the streets and the sidewalks made a tremendous difference upon completion. And frankly, I don't really know if it really requires a hanging basket. We have other projects that are going forward in the future, whether it's the Front Street project, even getting down to some of the work that is being done ongoing and actually increased in this fiscal year budget with regards to these grants. So if you look at the Grace project, the Front Street project, the completion of the Water Street project, all those things will influence the beautification of the city. And I think they're all going to be looking significantly improved. I guess that's kind of my observation. I don't know if it's really needs for hanging plants or more of a uniform approach of taking into consideration some of these major projects that the city is going forward with.
Yeah, good point, Chris. And you're exactly right. And I think a point to be made on that is, and I'll be honest, one area where the city isn't good at is maintaining some of the new, infrastructure and beautification that is, put out there. So I think definitely MSD could potentially kind of continue those fresh efforts and maintain and kind of look at those areas as we move forward. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. I agree.
This is Clark. I personally would like to see more funding, more efforts, more impact in the physical appearance category. Hanging baskets or what, but it seems to me that we should be focusing and spending more money on that portion of our budget. And the issue with that I see is the physical, the streets, the sidewalks, the light poles, they all belong to the city. And we ran into this with the whole tree well issue, where we wanted to try to improve tree wells, and the city said, wait a minute, you can't do that without us fully evaluating it. So I personally think we need to spend more in the physical appearance category, but I think if we're going to go in that direction, we need to coordinate with the city on what we can do and what we can't do.
I guess, Clark, that's really my point is in order to do something effective, it's not only the MSD, but it's also the influence of the city itself.
Mm-hmm. Well, we certainly see the of the things in our budget, the 5 major categories or 6 major categories. Physical appearance is something we see every day. Mm-hmm. People who visit our community see it every day, and the cleaning, I think, is important. I think we definitely have a cleaner downtown because of this effort. I just would like to see some additional beautification done, but it needs to be done with coordination with someone at the city so that we're not spinning our wheels like we did with the tree wells.
Noted, Clark. What about security? I mean, I'm fresh as the liaison and kind of point person on the city side here. And I've kind of been in and out of some of these meetings for the last 5 years. And if I recall, there was a big emphasis with this group on safety and security and that perception and kind of what the MSD's role was. Are we happy with where we are on kind of that quote unquote security allocation and the manpower that's out there?
This is Clark. I would think that the effort that we've spent on that so far is appropriate. I think we're getting what we pay for, and we'll never make it completely safe. There's obviously been an uptick in crime, but that's a national trend. I don't see that there needs to be an enhancement to what we've been doing so far with that allocation.
This is Terry. I mean, I can speak on behalf of the DBA membership. The businesses downtown they're very, very encouraged by what MSD has done with the ambassador program, and in conjunction with the task force. Our police task force has made a major difference downtown. Across the board, the consensus is that it feels, well, compare this to 10 years ago, when it was still the Wild West a little bit downtown. It's much safer, and we've made it known throughout DBA that the ambassadors are there for your employees if they feel uncomfortable walking to the car late at night. they're there for you. So the consensus with the business owners that I'm hearing is very positive.
I would just, thank you, Terry, I appreciate that. And I would add too that the clean and safe, I mean, they are 33% and 33% by design. Those are the same people, they're the same ambassadors. So I think before it used to be more, like whenever you're 40%, 25%, for example, in FY19, whenever you were looking at allied or a security provider, and then you had some people who really focused on kind of being the, the heavies, the people out there, intimidating or kind of that security piece. We do not have the ambassadors as the first line of defense by any means. I mean, they know to try to de-escalate situations, to call the police, those sorts of things. So our clean and safe, those could be combined into clean and safe and call it the whole initiative, or you could leave them 33, or however you want to say that to kind of, that they're covering both of those things. But that total, that 66% is paying for the ambassador services that you have now. The only thing I would say, as a word of caution, is I agree with you, the physical appearance. This is really, I mean, we're bidding for the work, so it doesn't matter to us. The MSD Advisory Committee will set however you want this to happen, but I think some of the comments are really good, where the hanging baskets, things like the holiday decorations, things that are temporary, for us, we don't really see a lot of long-term value in those, obviously. So I think if you're spending the physical appearance money, if it's the 9%, if it's the same amount, then spending it more wisely. But what I would say you don't want to do, particularly whenever you're growing in that clean and safe right now, it's still the same percentage, but we had an increase last year, and that's what funded that street outreach position. If you start cutting back on clean and safe, you'll have to cut back on either that position or our ambassador hours. So anything that you take away from that category, that would just be my thoughts.
Yeah, Chance here. And on that subject, Clark, I think you had mentioned last month when we had the presentation from Jack, how impressed, I think overall the group was. And is this something too, the street outreach? Do we want to push that a little bit further and kind of grow that, or kind of see how it develops moving forward?
This is Clark. My opinion on that is I think I have been impressed, but I think it needs more time to see where it can go before we begin to allocate additional funding to it, in my mind.
Got it. Anyone else? I think I've got some good notes. I think the goal here is to, wrap this up with a good narrative and get it to cities purchasing, and hopefully have this RFP out on the streets at some point in March, advertised out to the public. So.
All right. Any further questions for Chance on this presentation? All right. Hearing none, we'll move to reports. Is Lieutenant Nichols with us today?
I am. How are y'all?
Fine. How are you, sir?
Good, sir. Really what our main issue right now, we're back to normal. With the bars being open, we are having summertime crowds on especially Friday and Saturday night is the big night. It seems to be. Our crowds aren't dispersed until 3:30 in the morning. We've had some issues down there with some of the clientele that's attending some of these or going into some of these bars. We're having some issues with some 15, 16-year-old juveniles. So we've had to bring in ALE and some ABC guys to assist us. We're also having to, like I said, it's going to summertime numbers. So we're having to bring some guys from districts down here to help us out. But other than that, it's been pretty good. November, Sergeant Raspet and I and another lieutenant went to Savannah and visited their entertainment social district. I know we've been talking about that, bringing that to Wilmington. One of the main issues is Savannah is about 15,000 population, larger than us, but yet their police force is 500 plus officers. We have 275 when we're full, and right now we're about 240. So I hate to say, it's a national issue. I know we spoke about that earlier, but we're the manpower is an issue right now. So we know it's coming, and we'll do the best, and it's a good thing if we can get it down here. But it's just, that's some of the issues that we're seeing when we went down there.
Lieutenant Nichols, this is Clark.
Yes, sir.
Did you or the police department make a presentation or put together a presentation related to that, your visit to Savannah?
We did. We did. The chief and I and Sergeant Raspet met with the city manager and had a PowerPoint with it. It was probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. We did.
I know that several members of our committee have had a significant interest in that. If possible, I think it would be beneficial to this group if you could make a similar presentation.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. We could do that. Not a problem.
Maybe at our next meeting.
Sounds good.
Excellent. Thank you. Any other questions for Lieutenant Nichols? All right, we'll move on to our next report, which is WDI. Thank you, sir.
Clark, this is
Holly,
Holly.
you back up.
Yeah, I'm back up again. I feel like I'm stealing the show here, so I promise I'm going to give a very succinct report this time. I think everything was pretty much, we went through a lot of what we've been doing, obviously, with respect to the MSD. One thing I would like to just put in a plug for, and I did this morning at DPAC as well, is our microloan program. So those of you who know folks that are out there that might be interested in our microloan program for up to $20,000, it is fixed right now at 2.44%. When those interest rates go up, and they're going to, it's not going to be 2.44% anymore. So I think, act now. I hate to be so pushy about it, but we want to make sure that people take advantage of this program. We also have a $1,500 cash at closing grant program through Duke Energy's Hometown Revitalization Grant. For the first 15 loans that are closed, we've given out 4 of those. So obviously we still have 11 more of those. Christine and I just had a conference call with our underwriters today. We have 12 loans in some part of the process. Some folks are quicker than others to gather up their loan information, but the point is it's a low documentation loan. It's $20,000 and it's really cheap money. So if there are folks that that have a business in the downtown area, and that includes the central business district as well as the emerging districts, we would love to talk to them about how to help them out with financing, and if they have any questions, they can certainly contact us at the office.
All right. Any other reports in your organization?
So, Christina said that she had something to add, so.
Excellent.
Yes, we have completed we've received the keys to our website, and if you haven't been on the website, please go to wilmingtondowntown.com. We do have a section of the website that is dedicated solely for the MSD. We have been revamping this page. We've included photographs of our ambassadors, and with the help of James, we are working to develop a video that explains the MSD program and all of the ambassador services. So we will put that on the website for visitors to go and see, for people in the MSD who pay the tax to go and see and really understand what the programs are all about. And I'm also working with Brad with the city to do some information gathering on all the street closures that are going to happen due to the construction on Front Street. So I'm working with him to kind of get ahead of the project and really work with some of the business owners that are all along Front Street and on Grace and Walnut Street to kind of inform them about the project ahead of time, so they can begin to prepare their marketing or whatever business plan they have for the summer to get people to move past the construction and into their storefronts.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Holly or Christina?
Just a quick, that website that you're saying is going to have all of that information on the MSD, Can we get that out? Because I'm not aware of that.
It's wilmingtondowntown.com.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Holly, this is Rosalind. I'm on the website now and just want to say it looks really nice. And I see that you all are active on all forms of social media, which I think is really huge. So thank you.
You can thank the UNCW interns and Christina who directs that effort because they do a fantastic job. Social media.
Looks good.
Thanks. We are very excited, though, as Christina said. James is such a great videographer in his spare time from being the operations manager for our MSD program. He also does a lot of great video work for us, just on the side, but he doesn't charge us for doing this video work. And one of the things he is doing is putting together this MSD video to really show people the ambassadors in action and what it's all about, and help people to better understand what the tax is funding. So I think that's going to be a very valuable piece. We've had on the city's website for a while the boundaries of the MSD, but to really kind of drill down and see a day in the life, and then to see their friendly faces, I think, on the website with their names, and get to know them as people, and the ambassadors that are out there on the street, I think is going to be a big help. There's also a contact on there, and they can get services that way as well. And the facade grant program is on there. They can apply online as well. So lots of great things on that website now. We're excited about it being finished.
All right, thank you. If there aren't any further questions for WDI and Holly, we'll move to the city. Chance, I think that's you.
Thanks, Clark, and I'll be quick, lightning round. I know our clock is ticking to get to 4 o'clock, so real quick, MSD related, the tree wells that was approved by council finally is in the contractual phase, so we hope to have an update and hopefully some mobilization on that by our next meeting if we can get that thing signed, sealed, and executed through city's purchasing department. The MSD annual presentation to City Council is on the agenda for March 1st. For those of you that may want to tune in person, it will be at the Convention Center instead of here at Council Chambers, but it will be at the same time broadcast through GTV. Tuesday, March 1st, 6:30 p.m. is the start time. As Christina mentioned, the 200 Front Street streetscaping project is right now tentatively scheduled to start Monday, April the 11th, following Azalea Fest weekend. If anything changes on that, I will definitely update the group. And as Christina noted, there's going to be a lot of outreach efforts there on communication, planning, and so forth as that large project, very large and impactful project, commences here in April. And the only other thing I have on my list is just the 2nd Street parking deck rehab across the street continues. At times, we've had to close down the deck to daily parkers and leave enough space for our monthly contracted parkers. But hopefully things will open up a little bit more as we progress. And as of now, that timeline is holding true to hopefully a mid to late summer completion time on that very large and needed rehab project. That's it for me, Clark. Any questions, concerns from the group?
Anyone have questions for Chance? Chance, I have a question. It's kind of just outside the MSD, but it is important to me. The Dock Street or the median at Dock and 3rd?
Yes, sir.
What's the latest on that?
Dock and 3rd is a state DOT project. That you're talking about the extension of the median, correct?
Correct.
So state DOT project work commenced, I believe, this last Monday, and the extension of that median there, Clark, is also comboed with improvements to each 4 corners on those sidewalks. So in addition to extending that median on Dock Street to inhibit left turns coming off Dock or coming off 3rd, they're also putting ADA ramps in on all 4 of those corners. I believe they started with the east side, and then they'll progress around to each corner, and then eventually finish that median piece. I'm being told, weather permitting, probably 3 to 4 month timeline on that one.
All right, that's kind of what I was interested in. I was wondering about timeline.
And then on that same subject, Clark, there's a tiny piece of paving in that little section with that project, and then there's a larger DOT-funded paving project that's going to come right behind that or in conjunction with that from 3rd into Castle Street or 3rd to Dawson, heading south, and then Market to, I think, Carr Avenue heading east. So that be on the lookout for that one as well.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, any other questions for Chance? Are there any comments, other comments from members?
Or can I take a quick minute?
Sure.
So just real quick, I just wanted to thank my fellow advisory committee members. It's been a pleasure and honor to serve with you guys in this capacity, and I wish you guys continued success. The MSD has made significant strides since its inception. As Clark mentioned, I've been on since the inaugural time period, and so I look forward to seeing it continue to flourish and enhance the downtown area. You know, I am staying in the area, so please keep me in mind if other similar types of opportunities arise to volunteer for the city. I'm on LinkedIn, and I can provide my personal email address if folks are interested. So thanks again, everybody, and I hope to see you guys around downtown.
Thank you, Teresa. Again, we really appreciate the time you've taken to be a part of this group, and we wish you all the luck in the world.
Thank you.
Bye, Teresa.
Thanks, Veronica.
All right, any other comments? All right, well, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Who was that?
And Nancy said so moved.
All
I'll
right,
second that.
there you go. Last official action.
That's right.
All right, as we say, all those in favor, disconnect.
See you guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.